if all we did on today's show was the Michael Steele, Rush Limbaugh story, I'd go home a happy man. And I think, my life is worth living, and this show is worth doing, just on this story alone. Yesterday, we played a clip for you of Michael Steele, the head of the RNC, being a tough guy on D.L. Hughley's show and talking smack about Rush Limbaugh. In fact, let's remind you of what that was. Let's go to clip number 1 right here, just to remind the folks what exactly the head of the RNC said about Rush Limbaugh originally on CNN.
No, he's not.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've never heard anybody.
Leader of the Republican Party.
I understand he wants liberalism to fail. Like, I get that it's not about the man, but it is still about the idea that he would rather have an idea fail.
How is that any different than what was said about George Bush during his presidency? Rush Limbaugh is an entertainer. Rush Limbaugh, his whole thing is entertainment. Yes, it's incendiary. Right. Yes, it's ugly.
Sense that he
influences the party. Like Rush Limbaugh.
Now, you just saw it right there. You just heard him say, yes, it's incendiary. Yes, it's ugly. Right? All right. That seems fairly clear. And on yesterday's show, I said over-under on number of days it takes for Michael Steele to apologize to Rush Limbaugh. Now, what you don't know is after the show, JR and I had a little debate over it. And JR made the mistake that he claims he never makes, which is getting suckered into a bet with me. And we made a $10 wager. He said, no, Michael Steele cannot apologize for this. This is too much, man. And I said, I guarantee you he does, and we put $10 on that. JR, how do you feel about that bet right now?
Well, this is the thing. It started off, you're losing some details here.
No. Look, I was saying, look. This man is going to apologize one way or another. If you're going to try to, lawyer your way out of this, well, he said I regret, but he didn't say I apologize, I'm not interested in the bet. And so the JR got worked up and said, yeah, all right, any kind of apology will do.
Any kind of apology in any time frame. I gave it forever.
No, hey, look, man, you're the one who wanted to make the bet. Okay, I didn't make you give me your $10. All right, so now this might lead you to the conclusion that Michael Steele might have apologized. Of course he apologized profusely on bended knee, but not before he got a little verbal spanking from Rush Limbaugh. First, Rush Limbaugh came at him and said, hey, now watch yourself, okay? Know your place. So now we're going to give you a little bit of Rush Limbaugh here, and then I got more quotes for you, too. Here's Rush on his show. Clip number 2.
Michael Steele, you are head of the RNC. You are not head of the Republican Party.
All right, hold on. Apparently we are going to get that video for you set up. Jesus is out. Just everybody be cool, be patient for a little bit. Here's Rush Limbaugh.
Michael Steele, you are head of the RNC. You are not head of the Republican Party. He took the bait. He bit down hard on the bait. He launched an attack on me, even though the premise of what was said to him was false. Why are you running the Republican Party? Why do you claim you lead the Republican Party when you seem obsessed with seeing to it that President Obama succeeds?
So he basically holds, as I think JR put it last night, comes out, holds his balls and says, hey, Michael, what are you going to do about it? But it gets better. I got another Rush Limbaugh quote for you. Limbaugh said, I'm not in charge of the Republican Party. I don't want to be. I would be embarrassed to say that I'm in charge of the Republican Party in the sad sack state that it's in. If I were chairman of the Republican Party, given the state that it's in, I would quit. I might get out a hara-kiri knife because I would have presided over a failure that is embarrassing to the Republicans and conservatives who have supported it and invested in it all these years. So now, how's Michael Steele going to react to this? Is he going to say, hold on, wait a minute now. I've been challenged and I'm going to show you I'm the head of the Republican Party and I'm not going to back down from anybody? Hell no. Tail tucked between his legs. He comes over to Rush and says, I'm so sorry, Rush. I'm so sorry. Here's the beginning of the apology. My intent was not to go after Rush. I have enormous respect for Rush Limbaugh. I was maybe a little bit inarticulate. There was no attempt on my part to diminish his voice or his leadership. Oh, you pathetic man. All right, here we go. Continuing. He says, I went went back to that tape and I realized the words that I said weren't what I was thinking. It was one of those things where I was thinking, I was saying one thing and it came out differently. What I was trying to say was a lot of people want to make Rush the scapegoat, the boogeyman, and he's not. If this apology isn't pathetic enough for you yet, it goes on and on. He says, I wasn't trying to offend anybody. So yeah, if he's offended, I'd say, look, I'm not in the business of hurting people's feelings here. My job is to try to bring us all together. When asked if he would directly apologize, in essence, absolutely apologizing, saying, if I have offended anybody, oh my God, Rush Limbaugh, I am so sorry. See, you know, Michael Steele likes to use street lingo from time to time to try to connect with younger voters, so he thinks, right? So here's a little bit of street lingo for you, Michael Steele. This is a bitch-ass move, man. Okay? I mean, this almost defines punk-ass bitch. Somebody calls you out like that after you talk smack about them, and then you come hat in hand, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. I mean, please, can I stay as the head of the RNC? Please, pretty please, Rush. And by the way, do I enjoy this fight between the different Republicans and Rush Limbaugh? Oh, yeah, I think it's fair to say that I do. Oh, God, man. Seriously, Michael Steele, have a little bit of self-respect, man. Just a tiny bit. I mean, how are you going to go home at night and look yourself in the mirror? How are you going to fall asleep tonight after you went and handed your balls in a jar to Rush Limbaugh? After all that big talk, man, that is just, it's just sad and kind of sickening to watch, but nonetheless, I have to confess that I enjoy it thoroughly.